What is going on, guys? All right, as you can tell, we are now at Niagara, and well, if you could see that little casino over there, that's actually where we always used to grind playing the 510 over at Fallsview. It no longer deals poker, so I mean we can't play anymore, and we play right behind me, right over there. That's kind of where I came from, and that's where the other video was at. But that's kind of where we're playing right now. And one thing that I kind of wanted to say, and I already said it in my previous video, but I wanted to talk about the challenge. And I know that I said I'm going to start in 2018, but I figured, you know, I'm just going to start it up right now. We're going to start up in December. We're going to make a goal. I set my goal off to be about $2,000 for this month, so I got to see if I could get down to 3,000. Now, if we could get to 3,000, that'd be pretty damn sweet. I think it's totally achievable. We had a pretty good run last night. We're already up a little bit. I didn't record any hands, but I'm going to record the hands today. So we were down here for the weekend, and we were playing last night. Put in just a few hours. I mean, it was pretty good. Ran a little bluff. Got it in with a pair and a flush draw. But I got to see if I'm going to put one of those hands in. If today's session doesn't get too exciting, then I'm probably going to do that. So yeah, I guess that's kind of like the little wrap up. So maybe we're just going to do a little scenery. And well, we were out here with Roman, so I'm going to see if maybe he wants to come on the vlog as well. We'll see what happens. But for now, I'm just going to walk around and do a little bit of footage. Alright guys, so we just made it to the casino, and look at who we ran into. We got Paul, Rashad, and oh sorry Matt, what was your name again? Ben. I just met Ben right now, and I'm so bad with names, as you can tell. It goes in like one ear, comes out the other. But we're right in front of Casino Niagara, and I'm gonna wrap it up here. I'm gonna probably start the end of the vlog out here, and it's gonna be like really cool. There's a bunch of lights. All these lights that are right there are gonna look super awesome at night. But anyways, we're on all the lists, and we're gonna see how it goes. See you guys on the inside. All right, guys. So we ended up finishing our session here at Casino Niagara. As you can tell, see, I told you that the lights are pretty cool at night. That's where we were earlier, right? That little entrance over there. So anyways, the session did not go super well tonight, and we were down a little bit. We had to muscle through. But fortunately, you know, we still played super well even during a tough session, and I'm gonna go through it. But before I do, shout out to a few players. Shout out to Imran, who I finally met. He was commenting on a whole bunch of other vlogs, so shout out to him. We finally get to meet him, and what's cool is that he was actually part of the Bad Beat jackpot. So congrats to him. He got a share of the table. And that's pretty awesome, man. I mean, that was a picture that's in this thumbnail, is that jackpot hand. It was Quad Kings versus Pocket Aces, who made a full house. I'd like to also shout out to Jory, who made a $5 contribution to the vlog by the means of paying my session fee. So thanks again for that, man. That was, you know, pretty awesome, and it just means a lot to me when some of you guys do these really nice things. But anyways, so for now, it's getting late, and I'm definitely a little tired. As usual, after a long session, things get really tired. I'm a little sleepy, and I just got to focus on getting home. So I'm just going to see you guys tomorrow. All right, guys. Welcome to the poker hands. So obviously, you could tell that, you know, last night or that night, I was just a little bit disappointed. I was obviously tired, and we didn't have a super good session. We were actually down about 1600 that night. something around that range, 1600. And the good thing was that we were up about just shy of 1,000 the night before. So when everything is all said and done, we lost about like 630 bucks. But I mean, yeah, it was definitely a struggle. The game wasn't easy, and yeah, it was pretty much like a pure grind. Things didn't go our way, and I made one critical mistake with pocket queens, I think, and we're gonna talk about that. But that's probably gonna be one of the later hands, either hand number 4, hand number 5. So stick around for that one. But for now, let me just hop in right into the hands. Mind you, I am no expert by any means in Omaha. I just like playing it for fun. And I like buying in for, you know, 50 big blinds because it's so easy to get it all in, and it's so much more fun, you know, when you can just run it up from like 50 big blinds to many big blinds, which I've done many times in the past. And yeah, that's really what I love most about pot limit Omaha. You can start with a smaller buy-in, and you can just either run it up, gamble it up, and just kind of have a good time. We're playing 2-5 pot limit Omaha. It's actually 2-5-10 because there is a straddle on, and it's 9-handed. We've been playing maybe for like an orbit or so, maybe less than an orbit. We've been pretty tight. We haven't really hit anything strong, but seeing like a suited ace, I'm pretty happy with that. M2 decides to raise to 30 bucks, which is a 3 times raise. Few callers behind him, and I decide to complete. And the straddler hasn't really been, you know, 3-betting or anything like that, so I'm pretty confident that he's probably just going to call along. And that's exactly what he did. He called, and it's 6 ways to the flop. Deuce 4-7, and there are 2 clubs out there. We don't have a backdoor flush draw, so we decide to check here. Obviously, we're planning to check raise. Checks around, actually. Little surprised. I thought that on a board like this, if anybody's got like an overpair, they're most likely gonna bet. I mean, it's a pretty standard bet here to bet if you got like kings, queens, or whatever, especially in a later position when everybody checked. So yeah, kind of surprised that nobody bet along. The pot is pretty big, so see what happens. 10 on the turn, so it's an offsuit 10, and at this point, I'm like, you know, if somebody hit a set of 10s and somebody hit a set of 10s, but I just decided to rip it, go all in. Pretty standard, I think. And everybody else decides to fold up to M3. And then middle position 3 decides to call. And we played with him before. We played Omaha with him in the past. And he kind of likes to get in there. So I wasn't 100% surprised that he called there. But I thought that, you know, he probably would have bet on the flop. But anyways, he gets it in with us. We're pretty much all in. Like, we got like $2 left. So we actually announced to be all in, and we put our $2 in and everything. The dealer calls us all in, and the river is a king, an offsuit king. We flip over a hand instantly, and we show him that we got a set of 4s, and then he mucks his hand. But what was a little weird about this spot is, like, you know, he really didn't call the $2. So it was kind of a little odd because, like, you know, it was kind of implied that I'm going in for the full amount. But anyway, he didn't pay me off that extra $2, man. So hand number 2. Now we got the pocket rockets. Pocket aces looking good. And we're suited. We are on the button. It is 10-handed. And we got the ace suited to the 5. Ace, ace, king, 5 is our hand. M2 decides to limp, which is a regular weekend player. I mean, you know, he plays Holdem for the most part. I've seen him dab into PLO off and on, but he's a pretty strong Holdem player. And he kind of has an understanding, I believe, post-flop about what the game is. So he can definitely transfer a whole bunch of skills from Holdem to Omaha. So he's definitely a competent player. But anyways, we just talked about him because we're going to get involved with him in the hand. And we decide to pot here to $25 since everybody else folded. So it's basically middle position 2. We pot, the blinds fold, and he decides to call. Ace, ace, 4. 4 quads. And there are 2 hearts out there and a diamond. So flush draw, backdoor flush draw. Our opponent checks to us, and at this point we decide to bet 20. I think it's a pretty standard c-bet. Yes, you might think that, you know, you got quads and you might want to check it, but I don't know. I like betting, and he decides to call. King of diamonds on the turn. So now not only do we have quads, but we also have a full house, and we're blocking pocket kings. Way less likely that he has a strong hand right now. We pretty much have everything smashed. He checks to us. We decide to check. The river is an offsuit 4. So we still got the stones. And this is where he decides to bet 65 bucks. He bets right into the nuts. We pretty much trap him. And at this point, you know, what are you going to do? I mean, he pretty much has nothing because we're blocking all the value hands, right? And I just decided to just raise pot. I say pot, and he snap folds. So he says he just had a flush draw with some other combo. So whatever he could have, probably like gut shot flush draw or whatever on the turn. And yeah, so we got a little bit of value from quad aces. And that was it. That's it for Omaha. We won a little bit, but then, you know, we got into some spots where we went down a little bit, and we pretty much ended up breaking even at the 2-5 PLO game. Now we move on to our no limit Holdem game. So we've kind of been holding a seat down, and we decide to walk over to the 5-10 feeder, waiting to get onto the 5-10 main. Hand number 3. We're middle position 2. We got pocket kings, and we got 1,000 bucks in front of us. We open to 35s, small blind, and the big blind call. And what's cool is that they're both lady players. Like, they're both lady regs that are playing this game, which is friggin' awesome. Man, I just think that we gotta figure out a way to get more girls into the game, because it's like, it's so male dominated. It's absolutely crazy. Like, I'm looking at the analytics for the YouTube vlog and whatnot, and it's like 3.7% women play this game. Like, are you kidding me? We got to figure out a way to just get, you know, women to play the game, because that's like half our population. You know what I mean? Like, if we can get women to play the game as well, and even if you're bringing that percentage up from like 3% to even 20%, then, you know, there's going to be so much more money in the game. And yeah, so, you know, guys, if you're out there, you're playing, you're having a good time, just always keep in mind, I know I'm like going off on a tangent here, but it's very important. Treat ladies with respect at the table. Don't be an ass. Just play the game nicely, respect them, and not only are you going to respect the girls too, but like respect everybody else at the table. Because I can't stand people that just berate other players. I just don't think that's cool. I don't stand up for that. That's not cool at all. You really just want to have everybody in a good mindset, and you want everybody to have a good time. So it's good to see that 2 regular players are, and strong regular players are in the blinds, and they both decide to call. Flop is 6 deuce 8. Rainbow board. They both check, and at this point I decided to go 40. Pretty standard c-bet. Small blind decides to call, and the big blind folds. Ace on the turn. Offsuit ace. And we go check, check. Deuce on the river. That pairs the board, and our opponent decides to check. I decided to bet 65. I thought that was the appropriate size, and our opponent goes into the tank probably for about a minute, and is just really tanking, like severely tanking. So, you know, when somebody tanks this long, this is when you know in poker that you've made an absolute 100% perfect bet. Okay? Whenever you see this, this means that this is the 100% bet. And that should always, you know, keep you pumped and motivated that you're playing well, that you're able to make these bet sizes, that at this point, it's like, you know, you don't care if your opponent calls or folds, because it's the absolute perfect bet that if you're bluffing, there's a chance they're going to fold it, which is awesome. But anyways, she decides to call, and we flip over our kings pretty fast, and she just mucks her hand. So We picked that one up. We get some razor thin value, and that was a good hand. So hand number 4. This is where things get... We're middle position 3, and it's 8-handed, 1.4k effective, 2 black queens, right? M1 decides to limp. Now, M1 has been semi-loose, but anytime that he's entered the pot, he's never raised. He just pretty much always limps. Like, always limps. And always calls a bet pre-flop. So when you limp, raise, he always calls. Seems like he always finds a way to the flop. M2 decides to ISO raise to 45 bucks. And M2 is a really strong regular that could definitely get out of line post-flop, out of line pre-flop, and definitely understands the game pretty well, knows how to navigate on all streets pretty effectively. So definitely have to look out for that. But at the same time, you know, we're trying to extract value from M1. I just wish he wasn't involved in this hand. If he would have folded, it would have been so much easier for us to play this hand. But, you know, I decided to flat here, hoping that we have the opportunity to get the button to 3-bet squeeze us. And the button's actually another competent, super strong player that definitely would see this opportunity to 3-bet. So that's another thing that ran through my mind. What ends up happening is that he calls and goes back to M1. M1 calls as well, and now it's 4 ways to the flop, guys. Flop is 3, 6, 10, 2 hearts, and a diamond. And now middle position 1 decides to lead out for 275. He's done this like 3 or 4 times prior. Like, seems every time he's in the hand, he sees a flop, he just bets right out. Like, bets huge. Bets like over pot. A lot of the other times, that's what he was doing. It was like $100 bet and he bets 175. You know, like, so frustrating. So frustrating. I don't know what his range is because everybody else folded all those other times. So M2 decides to fold. Obviously, you know, he had whatever he had. He's obviously 3-betting there, really light pre-flop, so his range is super wide. But what do? You got pocket queens. And this guy's been doing it so often. We're about like 1.4k effective to start, right? He's got us covered by a little bit. So I decide to call here and see what the button does. Button snap folds, so that's pretty good. Heads up to the turn. Jack offsuit on the turn. And now our opponent doesn't even think for too long, maybe for like 4 seconds, and just says he's all in. This is one of the sickest spots that I've been. You've seen this guy bet big 3 or 4 times already, like within the last 30 to 40 minutes. And mathematically, there's no way that he has a hand this often. Like, there's no way. Come on, you're playing live. I made the call. I had to, I don't know, I felt like I had to put my foot down. You know what I mean? Like, I can't let this guy overbet the pot. Like, every time he's in a hand. At one point, you got to put your foot down, you know? Like, what if he's overvaluing a hand like ace-10? Maybe he thinks that I'm on a flush draw or something like that. Maybe he's got something like 4 or 5 of hearts, you know? But, yeah, so I make the call. Deuce on the river, and he says he's got 2 pair. Flips over his hand, he's got 10, 6 of spades. And I'm there looking at my hand, like, I'm like, did I pair the board? And no, didn't pair the board. So that was really the sickest hand, and I totally butchered that one. Like, played it absolutely bad. You know, obviously the standard play there is to 3-bet yourself and just bump it up to like 105, maybe a little more, maybe 125, and take it from there. So I think, you know, the mistake was flatting pre-flop, and I've done things like that before, and, you know, we all do them, but it's why do you have to resort to, like, you know, the fancy play syndrome? I think, like, sometimes this is just a form of tilt, I believe. You know, you just kind of like go against your
your will sometimes. Like I wanted a 3-bet there. Like my mind was like 3-bet, 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 but I'm just like, no, I'm just gonna call. So stupid, absolutely stupid. But anyway, it only cost us 1.4, so and we had the opportunity to suck out. So you know, what can you do? Now it'd be stupid if I repeat the same mistake like over and over and over again, or if I start tilting massively after a loss like that. But none of those things happen, so let's go on to hand number 5. Alright guys, so for the final hand, we just switched over to the main game, and we literally been playing for a few hands. So we got fresh image and definitely a few regulars that we played with before, and kind of understand our game, but there are definitely some other guys that I haven't seen before. We got the ace-9 of hearts, middle position 3. We got 750. Okay, this is not too long after we got busted with the queens. We literally like just switched over. So that gentleman ended up hitting and running, and we didn't get a chance to win anything back. But anyways, E2 opens at 35, M1 calls, and yeah, at this point I decided to call as well. Small blind decides to call, and big blind decided to call, and 5-way to the flop. 5-7 queen with 2 hearts. Checks to us, and at this point, you know, we've got position in the hand. It's pretty standard to make a bet here. So I decided to bet 115, and there's only one player that calls. The small blind decides to make a call. So it's heads up to the turn, offsuit 4, and I decide to bet 275 here, kind of like really putting on the pressure. I don't think that he's got a queen too often, and you know, if he does, he's probably gonna have like a weaker queen. He's in the blind, and he should be giving me respect, because I mean, I called an EP raise and I've been playing pretty snug. I haven't done anything crazy, so he should put me on a strong queen, or a hand like a set. But he makes the call. We get an offsuit 10 on the river, and he checks to us. And at this point, you know, we got nothing else that we could really do. I mean, if he is hanging on to like a weak queen, I think it's still going to be pretty damn hard for him to make this call. Like, he's probably hoping that I just give up if I have a flush draw, right? So I don't think that he is going to put me on a busted flush draw too often. He might think that I'm like, there's just no way, right, that I would bluff a flush draw here. But yeah, so I decided to go all in. And he tanks, and he tanks maybe 30 seconds or something. You guys already know what's going to happen. He calls. He calls with King 7 offsuit. King of hearts, 7 of diamonds. And he scoops that one. So we're deeper in the hole now, and that was the final hand. Key thing is, don't tilt after a situation like that. You know, you got to keep your composure. You got to keep playing smart, play strong. Remember that you're playing your A game. That's the #1 thing, especially at a 5-10 game. Like, man, if you're gonna go off your A game and everybody else is playing their A game, they're all tough regs, and you're playing like your B game or down to your C game, guess who's the fish? You're the fish. So anyways, the key thing is, just don't become the weak player at the table by starting to go crazy and tilting. And yeah, so we didn't do that. We were still down. We were able to put in a few more hours. Like, I just kept plowing after that hand and winning some medium pot. Not many crazy hands to really talk about, but we did grind our way back to only be down 1.6k for that session. So we were still down, but overall we lost about 630 bucks. So that's kind of how things went down that weekend. Yeah. We're gonna hope for another one. Our challenge is not looking all that good, so we're down 630 bucks for December. So we got to make 2,600 now, since we're in the hole. We'll see what happens. My goal is to make it 2k, but I don't know. After that hit, I really was not hoping to lose. But anything can happen. You know, you're playing a 5-10 game, even like a 2-5 game. You can run up a stack pretty quickly, and it just has to be your night. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Until next time, guys, thanks again for watching. So hopefully you guys did get some value from this video, and I don't want to see you guys like go crazy tilt. Yeah, don't tilt. Don't go, you know, spewing money like crazy. Okay, if that's fun to you, then you can do it, because poker is about having fun. So remember, see you guys at the tables and have fun, because that's what we play poker for. Making money sometimes, yes, but more importantly, having fun. See ya.